Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's March 8th. This will be our chart lesson for today. Uh, Somebody actually asked me this morning in a comment about did I switch contracts today for because it's rollover. No, I did not switch today. I hadn't talked about this in a while, probably, but generally I do not switch over until the volume switches over. I usually keep um, I usually keep both charts. I open up, or actually, what I'll do is on the rollover day, I'll open up the new chart and I'll watch it for a day or so until the volume rolls over. If you tried to trade the contract, the June contract today, you wouldn't have had any trades because there's no volume over there basically. So no, we don't always roll over on the first day. It's usually the second day, or every once in a blue moon it'll be the third day before you actually roll over. So all the volume was still in the June contract today for the most part, and that may be why it's kind of a screwy day today. This is a range day. We actually had a little trend that started in the afternoon. We broke outside of the range, but quickly, it was after 2 o'clock when that happened, but we quickly traded back in and then went back up, and we closed up here close to the highs of the day, just outside the range. But this is a range day. Had a little bit of a downward bias, but as long as you're swinging back and forth both sides of the EMA, generally you can trade it both ways. I generally like range days because they're so predictable, but this is not a good range day. Notice how you don't, this is the low of the range, this is the high, and it's not consistent. The high's here, then the high's up here, the low's right in here, then it's down here, then it's back up, then it's down. It got a little bit consistent here, but the highs are still not consistent. When it's consistent like this little range right here, when you're always turning down off the highs or always turning up near the lows, I like those kind of days because they're very predictable and they're really easy to trade once you understand what's going on. But when it's like this, where you make we came down, made a lower low, then came up and made a lower high, then made a lower low, but then we made a higher high, and then back down again, then a lower high, lower low, and then we're making higher highs and higher lows. So it's just not very consistent. So it makes it a little bit harder to trade. So if you felt like you struggled today, I understand. So it was not an easy day. This was not a predictable type range day. This is a little bit different. And so there's not a lot of trades either. But we'll talk about them real quick and we'll wrap the day up. This is Thursday, so no chart lessons on Fridays anymore. Um, so this will wrap us up for the week, and we won't be back till Monday. But anyway, let me back out just a little bit. We'll talk about the trades and we'll wrap it up. When I came in, we're trading up in this range. You had to be a little bit patient. We traded down right up into the 7 o'clock hour, and it just kind of got stuck in this right here. But notice what happens. We bounce off this trend line. We try to go short once. We try to go short twice. And then we turn up, and that's a fairly bullish bar. It's a fairly large bar, but also it's a second entry. If you count off the top, you're coming down first entry, you come down again, then second entry. So I like that trade. It's right off the EMA, right off the previous trend line. There's plenty of room to the highs, and this thing just takes off. So that's a nice, easy trade right out of the gate this morning. You had to be patient and let this play out, but it worked out. So then we make a new high, pull back first entry, moving back right off the trend line again, a second entry long, and a nice bullish bar again, plenty of room. Again, another nice easy trade. So those were two fairly easy to find trades. So we started the day off well. We make a new high, then we come down, we close outside, we push up and make another new high. But notice how we're finding resistance there. So this one is really tempting, but I'd wait on a lower high. We move down, it bounces again. We finally get that lower high right here, and it actually broke higher first, and you can't go long right into those highs, and instantly it turns down and goes out the other side. I like going short there if you got enough room to get out here. Didn't matter in this case. There was room to get out, but it didn't matter anyway. This thing just takes off, and then it pulls back right here and gives you a true reversal pattern, a failed second entry long. Notice that new high, pull back first entry, then the second leg down in the second entry, and everything's closing along that trend line. Nice bearish bar. It's a little close to that low, but in this case, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Uh, as bearish as that is, and the fact that we tried to go higher that many times, and a reversal type pattern, I'm going to take that one. I was really hoping we'd head to the other end. Didn't happen. But it's an easy scalp and would have been good for several points there. And then it bounces, and of course you got a little trend working up. You get your close outside, you move to a new high. But this bar is too bullish. This one you might consider going short on that inside and then putting your stop up here. But sometimes you get another leg up, and sometimes you get that little jog up. So again, I would probably wait on a lower high just to make sure that this correction's over, especially the way it pushed right through that trend line. And notice we got an overshoot there, so there was no surprise that it really broke the trend line here. I marked this one with green just simply because it did go higher first, and then it turned down and went out the other side, and that's generally a pretty good clue, although it traded back up again in this case before heading on down. But you wouldn't have known that it was going to trade back up. And generally when it goes out one side and turns and goes out the other, if you're looking for prices and it ends up going in the direction you're expecting prices to go, it'll be a pretty good trade. And so even though this one was a little scary, turned out okay. Turned out to be a pretty good trade, and it moves on down. But it's a little risky. I'd probably skip it. You know, I can see people looking and saying, hey, this is a failed second entry short, trying to go long there. But I wouldn't go long there either, especially with the bar stacking up and all the congestion and the fact that we had closed outside this trend line and made a new high already. So I'd just sit tight and see what happens. And you're better off to wait on that lower high, but we never get one here. So the bottom just kind of falls out of it, and then all of a sudden it bounces again. And notice we got a close outside of what looks like a channel here. We got an overshoot, a close outside, move to a new low. And now we're working up. You get a first entry short, a second entry short. This is the first close outside this short-term trend line. And this time we went lower first and turned and went out the upper side. I like going long there. It's a first entry counting off the high, but it is somewhat of a trap with a failed second entry short, basically a reversal type pattern. And you're looking for it to make a new high off this anyway. And there could be another channel over it. Turns out there's not, but you probably want to draw that trend line just in case the prices come back so you can see. But you can see it didn't turn out to be the case. So, but I like just riding this back to the new high. Of course, it takes off though, and you could have got another nice move out of this one. So, of a nice trade right there. And then you had to gotta be patient after that. The market drops. Again, I'd wait on a reversal or confirmation or a lower high or something. There's a lower high here, but that's too bullish. And then we move down. Then you get a failed. You got two legs down now, and you get a failed second entry long, a bearish bar, still right off that trend line. It's a little bit away from the EMA, but on range days, you'll swing back and forth like that. So I think that one's worth risking just simply because there's two legs down and it fails, and it's probably going to be some trap longs there, and it doesn't go very far, but it's an easy scalp. And then we kind of find that we get a close outside a new low, and again, you get the close outside the new low, and then there's that one more jog. It's tempting to go long there, but this is too congestive at this point, and you got a little resistance right there, and this is basically a little trading range similar to this one up here, just a little tighter. And when it breaks out and fails, I like riding it back down again. Notice what this one did. I don't have this drawn, but you know, prices are kind of working up there, and then suddenly you push up you actually go higher right there, and it turns instantly. It's like somebody flips a switch. It turns instantly and starts going the other way. So if it trades through there, I'm probably going to ride that back and treat it as a failed breakout. And plus, this looks like one leg, so I'm going to be looking for a second leg. And if you catch a second leg there, then you're probably in pretty good shape. And you can see we didn't quite get it, but that's a pretty good move and close enough, so in my opinion. So I like that trade. I would prefer a second entry, but on these kind of days, this is the kind of trade you're going to get. So you got to go with what you got. And of course, we make it. We got two legs down now, and then we got a first entry short, second entry short. This would be one you would probably like to take, but look at that bar. I mean, it's impossible to take that bar. For some reason, the last couple of days I hadn't been there. It is. I mean, that's a 14 tick bar. So that's a huge bar. So, you just really don't want to be going long into that bar. I just think it's too risky. And it comes back again and it gives you another huge bar, but it's got some stem on it. But look what happens. It finally comes back and you get a little close outside and it gives you a much better bar here. It's right off the trend line. I like taking that one just to ride it back and see if we make a new high. And we do. Notice there's plenty of room there. So this one works out pretty good. I really thought it was going to break lower and turn and go out the other side. So you'd probably already have your buy stop there. And then once it stopped, once it closed and it broke on above on this next bar, you probably would have just left your order there. It runs up and then it turns back down and then we're bouncing. Notice how we're bouncing here. And you get a few bounces, but you don't really get a good setup bar. You get a decent setup bar here, but you don't have a break of this trend line yet. And it's holding, even though prices are holding here. This little trend line, you can see it holds there, it holds there. We finally get outside, come back, but we don't get a new low. We just bounce off here. And that bar's too neutral. If it closed one tick down more, it would have closed right in the center. That's really kind of neutral. So see if you get a higher low, and guess what? It pushes up, comes back, tests the EMA, gives you a nice, decent sized bar, bullish bar. Go long there, and if you caught that one trade right there, let's just say you sat here all day and didn't see anything you like, but you see that one reversal pattern, that one trade right there, and look at it go. You only have to catch one of these. And I mean, that's good for, this is around 27.27. And that move, before you ever get a close outside that trend line, has moved 10 points. And so that one trade would have been a nice trade. So yeah, this is not an easy day. You had to be really patient. If you notice here, really you had a trade here around just before 9 o'clock, and you didn't really get another one till 10. And then you didn't get another one until almost 11. You got a couple more around 11. And then you had from 11, you had to sit till almost noon before you got another one. And then from noon, you had to sit all the way to 1:30 before you got another one. So this is not an easy day to trade. But the worst thing to do is to get anxious or antsy and force yourself into trades because you're wanting to take a trade. Just sit tight. And soon enough, you'll get a trap or a reversal. And a lot of times, this is what's really, I don't know if I've talked about this recently, but one of the things, like right here, let's just say we're watching this in live time and you're seeing all this and you see this new low and then you see a higher low and you see this pushing up. I'd be anticipating that, hey, if this thing turns back down and touches that EMA and it turns up and gives me a bullish bar, that's a nice reversal pattern. I'm probably going to take that trade, but I'm anticipating that, and I'm just sitting there. But instead, if it goes on up or if it just keeps going down, then I'll say, okay, I was wrong. But you'll get to the point where you can anticipate some of this stuff. This would have been a surprise entry here. And if you were just sitting here and you're waiting on this trade, you're coming up, you get a first entry short, you go on up, you get a second entry, but you don't really get a setup. There's not a good enough. If you move that out of the way and make this a little bigger, you can see there's, that's a big, that bar is more bullish and then this is like a little inside neutral bar. And so you can't be going short right there. So you're just sitting there, and by not chasing the trade, suddenly you see this thing turn down and then rocket up like that. That's telling you something. The buyers came in right there. That's where you want to go long. And really, when it broke lower and turned and went out the other side, I'd go long here. And even once it broke higher, you may try to drop a limit order back a tick or two, but you may miss that trade doing that. But at that point, I would expect at least a measured leg up. So there's your first leg. And I'd be looking for a measured leg from there. And you can see that's put your target way back up here, which we do double that. Once we went higher there, if you were still holding on the trade, I'd measure that leg and look for another one. You can see that's basically a perfect measured leg right there. So that's about as good as it gets. So always keep that in mind. But anyway, that pretty much does it, and that's going to wrap up our week. So no chart listing again, no chart listing tomorrow. So we'll be back again to do it Monday. But I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.